What's going on, y'all? What's going on? What's going on? So I just had this really weird, random thought, and I want to make this really quick, a really quick video. But I had this really weird thought, and it was, what if when we die or something happens to us and we suddenly die, we don't actually realize it except for like certain things in our reality are like kind of out of place, or there's like clues to like let us know like something happened to us and we died in a very sudden, unexpected way. Because I have this theory. I'm going to call it a theory. I think that if you die, I feel like the consciousness operates, or possibly could operate in a way to where, let's say you are to suddenly die and you didn't realize it, or your brain or your mind or consciousness didn't have a chance to even process that you physically died in a parallel version of a physical body or vessel. What if your consciousness just kind of defaulted to a reality that is completely almost identical to the reality that you just physically died in, and you just see clues in your present reality, which is actually your next life, to let you know that you just physically died in a parallel existence, but it happened so suddenly or unexpectedly that you didn't even realize that you died, except for these subtle clues in your present reality and surroundings. And what made me theorize about this, and I've theorized this many times, but like today, I had a blowout and I didn't even realize it. The way it happened is actually kind of insane, because I had no idea that I had a tire that had blown out. But I literally drove all the way from South Carolina to my next delivery, and I actually just got to the receiver, which is basically the place that I'm delivering to, and I literally got all the way here. And to make a long story short, I got here and I literally walked over to the entrance gate to, see if I could. I was gonna ask them if I could deliver early, or how early I could deliver, so that I could potentially get started on my next delivery, sooner, so I could, get more money. Anyway, so when I was, getting out my truck to go out to the gate, I looked at my trailer and the white light was on, and the white light indicated that there was a air pressure problem, and which happened to be that the actual tire on that trailer, or one of them rather, was completely gone. It had blown out completely. I didn't even know until I literally got out and looked at the light on the trailer. In other words, I didn't even feel the fact that there was a tire that was completely blown out and missing, essentially. So, that's just kind of one of the things that made me wonder, like, what if something actually happened, and that's just like a subtle reality, like, but in this present reality, it just shows up as like a tire that's blown out. Now I understand that, yes, it could just be that one of the tires blown out and there's nothing else to it, but I look at things in a very symbolic way too, because I, for one, have experienced and seen how a lot of things can be, I forget the word of it, what's the word? Um, uh, it's basically something that describes something. When something happens, something is actually reflecting that in reality on some other level or in some other way. Like it's a symbol physically and spiritually and energetically of something else. I forget what it's called, but it's basically like a representation or a symbol of something else happening on another level, like a reflection, like a synchronicity type of thing. These synchronistic events kind of echoing and reflecting other subtle happenings in reality. So, I've experienced and seen these types of things a lot. So I think, multi-dimensional and symbolically in many ways. I just don't really speak on it too much, but I my mind sees things in multiple layers and multiple levels, and energetically, symbolically, physically, mentally, spiritually. I see things, from multiple angles, from multiple dimensions. It's just my mind does it automatically. I'm not trying to do it. It's kind of almost an automatic thing. So, I've had this thought before many times, like, what if when you die, when your life ends physically, there's just subtle hints to show you in the present moment that something happened to you actually in another existence, but the way your mind works and the way consciousness processes linear time, it just like you just experience time as a continuation, even though your life in a parallel version or parallel existence or physical body may have abruptly ended suddenly. The way that consciousness, but the way that we experience time, it's always a continuous thing, even if it ended relative to another physical, uh, uh, um, relative to another physical, you know, body being inhabited by your awareness, which also makes me wonder, like, uh, do we all live in, like, in other words, another one of my things I wonder about is, do does everybody experience the same life over and over again, just in parallel existences? Like, when you go to sleep every night, are you dying and are you just living the same life over and over again, infinitely, eternally? Is that why everything that could possibly ever happen or ever will happen is because you just keep living the same life forever without realizing it? Like, in other words, do we ever actually die? I know we get old. I know we experience people dying and getting old. But those people that are dying and getting old, like, at some point when they get old and die, do they just wake back up again in another infant body of the same person, just living again without, like, in other words, do they just wake up again in the infant body of that same person that they just died as an old person? You know what I'm saying? Like, how does it work? Like, everybody that already exists, like, how do we know we don't just live this entire existence forever? How do you know that when you die as an old man, you don't just wake up in the body of that same infant person, reborn again as the same person forever? How do you know that you can't ever experience being somebody else? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just because if we've never actually lived before, and we're dying for the first time allegedly, then how do we know that this is actually our first time living and dying as this person? There's no way to know that. Anyway, that was just something I was thinking about while I was sitting here. Yeah, I got a blowout today. like literally right as I arrived at the ship. I mean the receiver. So I'm actually parked outside of. I can show you right here. I'm actually parked outside of the receiver. So I got here today. That's the gate right there. That turn this light off. Hold on one second. That's the gate right there. That I walked over to. It's like a little thing, like a little buzzer thing that you can actually try to talk to somebody. It's actually Coca-Cola. I'm pretty sure I can say that on camera. You can't really see the sign, but yeah, it's basically, you know, I have delivery for them. It's like 8 a.m. in the morning. So when I got here, literally I walked to that gate. Well, I didn't walk to it. I got outside on the ground. I turned around. A white light was on my trailer, and that's when I seen the actual tire that was blown out on my trailer on the driver's side inner second set, I think, or first set on my trailer tires. So I already called somebody. They're going to be coming out here at some point. But I did call somebody. I do have roadside assistance coming. So, you know, my job, they're going to take care of that. I'm just pretty much just chilling here until they get here. More than likely, they're going to come in the morning because they've got to, you know, get a tire. And the guys come out here. And so it'll probably be, you know, in the morning, which is fine because I'm already here. All I have to do is just drive inside the gate, and they don't open up until 8 a.m. anyway, and I'm like right here, so it's like, who gives a shit? I got my, you know, reflective triangles out there, so, you know, all I got to do once they change the tire is just literally just turn into the gate, and I can make my delivery. So it, you know, no harm, no foul. And again, it's not till 8 a.m. So I'll probably walk over there and just, you know, let them know what's been going on. But yeah, my job does know, and you know, yep. So yeah, just a random video. You know, it was kind of crazy, but how it happened. But yeah, I just wonder about little stuff like that. You know, if you know, how reality and existence and, you know, space and time, you know, actually work when it comes to life and death. And that's basically the video. I'm gonna end it here. Everybody's saying goodnight to Mojo. He's sleeping. So anyways, y'all take it easy. Just a random video. Later.